So then he got the car. You didn't get the car.
He like reverse bribed it. Like I didn't get anything, but he got something for my scholarship money.
I mean, if you get accepted, I'll buy that vet.
Yeah, right.
For me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
I'll get this.
All right, Pop. Sounds like a deal. Yeah.
You got it, Dad.
So, but engineering, I
Man.
tell you what, call for engineers out there. For those that are good at math, consider that as a field because, and I know y'all are teachers. Like teaching's awesome, military. It's all awesome, but I'll tell you, just being as an engineer, it's a great time to be an engineer.
Yeah.
Job security is there, and our job placement out of college was about 100%. Y'all good?
Hit it, yeah.
Y'all good? Hit it. We need some kind of drum roll.
Cue hard metal music.
No, please. And they're here. Hello.
This
Welcome
is
to our
Generation Giants podcast. This is Kyle here with Charles, Callie, and Ashley.
Hey, y'all.
And today
Yeah,
we're going to be
yeah.
talking on the topic of things I wish someone told me on college and career. We're going to touch on college and then get into some career guidance that we wish we knew a little bit along the way. I know there's plenty that I've learned since college about career. That's kind of, I think, probably what I would open us up into as far as college goes is you don't learn everything you need for your career in college,
Yeah.
especially not in high school.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of good stuff that we're going into, but how are you guys doing today?
Good, yeah.
Good.
we're here.
Good. Ready to rock.
We are here. That's
here.
always my bottom line.
We are here on
I'm
a
just
Sunday
happy to
What's
be
afternoon.
here.
happening? We're here.
Sitting on these couches. Love that.
Yeah, man. Super comfy.
Live from Studio C.
That's what people are going to hopefully say about me one day. I don't know if
Been
they'll
waiting to
say
hear
I
that.
was that all intelligent or even a hard worker, but I hope they say he just was always happy to be there.
Yeah.
Alert and
That's
ready
fair.
to rock.
That is great.
Yeah.
I would really love people to say that about me.
Yeah.
Yep.
She
That's
was
fair.
there.
She was there. She loved being there. She showed up.
I remember her.
Says a lot.
Yeah.
Any weekend or week highs or lows? I know we did a big activity
Yes.
Yeah, dude.
following on the last episode.
A big activity. What will it be? Who's going to share? Or we're just going to say we did a big activity.
Ashley, why don't you share since
Yes.
it was your idea last week?
All right. Well, we just recently did a breakout room, and if you follow us on Instagram, you saw that we
Yeah.
escaped.
Squad.
We got out.
And if you don't follow, then follow right now.
At Generation Giants podcast. Follow us. Okay. So, we escaped from a zombie apocalypse. Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
zombie apocalypse. We almost set a record.
10 minutes
Yeah.
away from setting a record.
Oh, was it?
That was pretty close,
No.
though.
We almost set a record.
Yeah. We'll leave it
I'm gonna
there.
edit that
We
out.
didn't-
Leave
okay.
it there.
I will say we did not get any hints.
Yeah, that was
that's
a big
fair
thing.
too.
Hints.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got there, and already off the bat, I fell for a trick. There was a quarter on the ground. And
Yeah,
just so you
not even in the
know-
escape room. In the
Yeah,
lobby of the
in the
escape
lobby.
room, you got punked.
in the lobby.
You got so punked.
Yeah.
So punked.
So then we got into our little room. We explained what was going on. I had never been to this one, so it was good to go to a different one. It was a lot bigger than the one that I went before, but I think it was great. It was fun,
Yeah.
right? You guys had fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Hey,
Yeah.
if there's a button, if you ever do the escape room, listeners, and there's a button that says push this to get out,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe probably don't push it.
No, but didn't that do something?
We can't say.
I know.
Yeah.
Or
Or
should
should to
you
give
push
away
it?
all the secrets.
Oh.
I will say it was really fun seeing everybody's like strengths, I guess, show up in that moment. Like Conlon is such a thinker, and Conlon was like,
Yeah.
"Whoa,
Oh,
what
Conlon
if
and
this
Jackson
connects
both.
here?"
Let's
Yeah.
shout out Jackson.
And
Yeah.
Jackson, miss you, man.
Hey,
But,
Jackson.
yeah, he was just going for it. I think they were making like a lot of outside the box connections for
Yeah.
us who are thinking a little more linearly
Right.
than linearly. So that was really cool to see, and I think that's the point of escape games is seeing how people, well, not seeing how they work together, but working together and learning how each other works. And
Yes.
Yeah.
Shout out to Daniel, the guy who worked there and
he might be
Yes.
listening right now,
scheduled it.
honestly.
And
Yeah.
Hey, Danielle.
And I don't know if this is a scientific sample of feedback, but he said that we had great great
Chemistry?
Chemistry.
Really?
That's
compared to
us.
other
That's good.
groups.
We tried to tell them that we all just met when we walked in.
We tried to tell him that.
I want to do an escape
I think he
game.
heard
I
us
need
say that
8
too, and he
friends.
didn't know
need
how to
8 friends.
respond when we told him.
Yeah.
It's like, are they being
Yeah.
serious or not?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, but it was really cool.
So that was a high. We got locked in a room with zombies
Yeah.
at the end of the tunnel, and we found
We
the
got
antidote.
out.
And I just want to say, Ashley, that last final puzzle where
Yeah,
you saw
man.
the
She
colors.
cranked
You
it
rocked
Now,
out,
out.
man.
I think
I was ready.
I kind of think you're a little bit colorblind, maybe.
What?
Orange and yellow, but we figured it out. Or I'm colorblind.
okay,
One or
yeah,
the other.
Kyle.
Maybe I'm colorblind.
Wow, that's a really
Or
big.
reverse that. Kyle's colorblind.
Coming at me
Confrontation.
on the podcast, Kyle. Meet me in the escape room.
Oh man.
It's going down.
You know what?
Gosh.
I was colorblind. it took like 3 tries. You were like, "What's the number through the red hole?" Blah blah. Yellow.
You
blue.
can't stop saying that.
All right.
Sorry,
we're
we're gonna
giving away
edit
the
that
answers.
out. Okay, we're done. We escaped. We got out. It was fun. Go do
Well, my
it.
bottom line there.
That
is
is
I was
it.
proud of you, Ashley.
Thank you, Kyle. That means a lot.
And maybe Kyle's the one who's colorblind.
And I'm the one who's colorblind.
This is why everyone always asks me why
Yeah.
I don't match. And here I am. I'm just kidding. You match fine.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh. Didn't work. Didn't really.
Speaking of which, my other high this week was I found this T-shirt
That's the one you were
in a hiking
looking
pack,
for?
which I haven't gone hiking in 5 years, and
What's
so
on
it's
your
been missing a
t-shirt?
long time.
Man.
Why is that T-shirt so
Actually, this
special?
T-shirt does mean a lot to me. So before we get into a somewhat more, I don't know, purposeful topic, so this says D3 and T,
Right.
and so one of the first podcasts that I started listening to was Barbell Shrugged. It's still out there, but they've kind of rebranded, and now it's called Shrugged Collective,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm pretty sure these shirts aren't made anymore, so limited edition.
Vintage.
Exclusive.
It's definitely worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I'm a big fan of those guys, so just big shout out to those guys and what they do. So it's like a weightlifting fitness podcast. Charles, you
Yeah.
listen to it. We've
Yeah.
talked about it.
Most definitely.
And, help me first see the power of podcasts, getting to see real life stories and experiences and people just talking real about what they're doing and hearing about their success stories. And so it motivated me to get more into weightlifting. And through that, that's just weightlifting is just one of the many examples that I've kind of tested and helped me to see that I'm able to do more than I really ever thought I could. Being 160 pounds, I was able to at least overhead squat over 200 and clean
Yeah.
jerk over 200. And
You're
my
right.
snatch didn't quite. It's got a lot of potential in the snatch.
Yeah, man.
I only snatched 150 or so pounds.
Hey, that's okay. We
Which,
got time.
Yeah, I got plenty of
We
time.
got time.
That was just one season, bro. I'm coming back.
Yeah.
I'm working on the CrossFit game right now.
Crunch.
Crunch Fitness. Shout out to Crunch. That's my other
Kyle just realized that he enjoys working out with his friends. He didn't know that you could work out with others and have fun.
It never dawned on me I could just join a gym that other people are a part of.
Yeah.
Not have to work out alone in my garage all
This
the
is a
time.
weird conversation.
Oh, man.
Yeah, sir. Well, yeah. All right, Charles, me and you, we'll talk more about that.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
But anyway, bottom line, that was another high. I found this cool T-shirt, and it's really
cool.
great. On the back, it says "Drop everything and train." That's what the D3 and T stands for. So,
Ooh.
You're right.
drop everything and train. I'm all about it.
Yes, sir.
Anything else I want to share in the intro part? Highs, lows.
Highs, lows.
Yeah, man, I got a bit of a high, right? It's only for me, I suppose. It's not like super cool or anything. But for the longest time, man, I had a problem with my knee. Like I would go run and like in the morning and then later on throughout the day, it would hurt me so bad to where like walking upstairs at school was kind of painful, right? Started seeing this chiropractor, he's cracking me up, all this other good stuff. By the way,
yeah.
go see a chiropractor, man. One of the best experiences,
Okay.
in my opinion.
I've heard that too.
Yeah, it feels really good, not only in the moment, but like the lasting effects, right?
So you're saying you don't think chiropractic is a bunch of hocus pocus?
No, I don't. At least the one that I see. But obviously with everything, hey, there's good chiropractors and there's bad. So, but
True,
mine just
true.
happens to be a good one.
True.
So I kind of was resting my knee this week, man. And so like for the first time, and I can't remember how long, I can like fully bend and move my knee without any pain.
Nice.
Awesome.
So it feels really good. I'm excited to get back into the
Feeling
gym.
good?
Yeah. Feeling 100%. So,
Ready to lift the
Nice.
weight.
Awesome.
yep. Time to get back at it.
Nice.
It's really
So,
cool. Good for you.
thank you. Thank you very much.
Solid. All right. Well, the only other high I'll share.
Told you it
Another
wasn't
one.
that exciting.
Well, no.
No, I'm happy.
No, let me
Yeah,
tell you.
I'm glad your knee works.
I was just telling somebody the other day, 'cause I'm able now to kind of do workout and fitness and pretty much anything that I want again after being more or less injured for like 18 months where I wasn't fully limited,
Right.
but I definitely wasn't fully capable of doing anything. And so,
Right.
yeah,
It's freeing feeling,
through
man.
seeing, yes, freeing feeling
Yeah.
when you don't have to just think about self-imposed limitations.
Right. Yeah.
You just keep pushing. So
Yeah.
I hear you, man. That's a really good feeling.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm trying to keep
Yeah.
up the CrossFit stuff right now, to keep the body weight, get the
Yeah.
foundation reset.
Yep.
Spend a season where I'm not doing weights, just doing the hundreds of pull-ups and all this other stuff, and
Yeah.
then move back into the weights.
More complex stuff.
Yeah.
More
Yeah.
CJ Cummings-esque stuff.
Oh, shout out!
I think
CJ
he
Cummings.
just set another world record too, man.
Hey.
In the total.
Casual.
Yeah.
Hey, just another day in the life.
Yeah, man. For him.
Yeah. So hey, everyone, go listen to an episode with CJ Cummins, 17-year-old. Or is he 18 now? I lose track.
I think he might have just turned
He
18.
might have turned 18.
Yeah.
World youth champion, living out of Beaufort, South Carolina.
Yep.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Continuing to do it up.
Let's go.
So.
Well, I saw. The other high was this was a reunion weekend, so I'm going off of like very little sleep, just trying to maximize my weekend with the guys in town. So got to hang out with dozens and dozens of guys from college, 5-year reunion.
Yeah.
Citadel won their football game. It's
Nice.
a huge high.
Nice.
And dude, I just want to say, man, it's so cool when you put in the effort into your school experience, whether it's high school or college, and especially at the Citadel, y'all know it's like pretty difficult
Yeah.
at times. And then it's so
Definitely.
cool whenever you haven't seen guys in 5 years, and then it's just kind of, even if you weren't great friends, you just still have that connection. You see each other, and you're
Mm-hmm.
doing life, doing the adult life now, seeing growth.
Yeah.
And it's just really cool to connect and have that experience. And so that was really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool. And then just trying to show interest and get the updates on life
Yeah.
from everybody.
That's cool.
Ask how everybody is. So
Yeah.
that was really cool. That was a big high.
Yeah,
Just
that's
all
always
day
good.
yesterday. Going on campus, football game, couple tailgates, hanging out, eating food,
Mm-hmm.
barbecues.
All the friends.
Okay, can
all the
you
bros.
rank the top 3 foods you had yesterday?
Top 3 foods. Ooh. Well, let me just try to
Or in no
let me
particular
just try to
order.
present all the foods today.
Yes.
Let's see. Breakfast burrito from Mazzo. Standard.
Oh,
Okay.
yes,
Standard.
That place.
Yeah.
Haven't been
Here
there
for
yet.
that.
What did I have? Barbecue, wings, Sticky Fingers Catering. That was next.
Okay.
Then I had different kind of catering with ribs. And then, let's see, later I had another barbecue catering
Oh, the BBQ.
tailgate party. So, I don't barbecue. I don't know if that was.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
conversely, I went to a barbecue baby Q this weekend.
BBQ.
What is that?
No, yeah, that's
It
pretty
was
much the
like
same thing I
a
did.
baby shower, but with barbecue.
Oh my
A baby
Hey, that's
Q.
genius.
They called it a baby Q, and it was so cute.
Welcome to South Carolina,
Yeah.
man.
I'd even go to
Welcome
that.
to my baby Q. Well, it was funny. It was from 10 to 12, so football was not interfering, or I guess the
Yeah,
shower
you really
got
got to
to
schedule around it around
At
here.
the end, they're like, you need to slow down the presents, because the dad was like, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, slow it down. But it was really cute, the baby Q
That's funny.
That is super cool. Was it a
clever.
little boy or a little girl?
girl. Her name's gonna be Hallie, and
Nice.
Hallie.
one day away from my birthday, so I'm trying to
nice.
get a collection up to like induce mom early. How can we get
Right, to
this
share the
baby out
birthday,
on
right?
my birthday? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
cool.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about
connection
me
forever.
here.
Connection
Yeah.
forever.
Honestly, yeah.
Well, I don't know if that's a good plan, because if her birthday is on the same day, she's gonna take precedent. So your friend who's having a
This
kid,
is something I'm
good
willing
luck going to your birthday party.
Yeah, this
willing
is,
to sacrifice.
well, it's funny. She texted me and said, "Hey, what are you doing on your birthday next year?" And I said, "Oh, we going on a trip?" And she said, "No, I'm having a baby." That's cool too.
Did you tell her
That's
she needs
great.
to postpone that?
So, okay, so we're not going
Can we
anywhere
wait?
fun.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, that's funny.
Cool.
Oh
Well,
man.
well, again, so today's topic, talking about things I wish someone told me about college and career. So we were just kind of touching on the college a little bit, and that'd probably be my opener. Is just the people that you interact with. Try to make the interactions as positive as you can, because you're going to be seeing them at reunions, hanging out, and they really have the potential to be friends for life. And you never know when you're going to reconnect. You know, like some guys that I didn't have any classes with, and that really we just did a few things together, some BVA training, the training program, this other stuff. Even just having that connection, even though it wasn't very personal in the moment, now we get to exchange contacts and be networking friends, and maybe even get some golf game going on or something, you know. So that's really cool, and probably be one of my first things.
Yeah.
Is kind of see a bigger picture and the relationships that you see in college and how it does carry into your eventual career.
Yeah.
Because, man, like, especially me being in the construction field, like, there's so many guys, especially from the Citadel, that kind of go into some kind of construction field, even if they got a business degree.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
So.
Got it.
So that's kind of the opener is things I wish to know about college and career. So any surface, any big level ideas come to mind as we dive into it?
Yeah, I guess a surface level thing for me is don't be afraid to take time to yourself, to kind of knock out some of the things that you have to do, right? Sometimes, whether it's in college or high school or whatever arena in life you're in, you kind of feel a lot of pressure like, hey, man, we're going to do this. You got to come. Hey, we're going to do this. You got to come. And it's just like, this past Friday, I was at school till like 10, 11 o'clock just doing homework. Most people probably not doing that on a Friday night, right? But I think it was necessary, like, to perform well. So that's maybe just like a surface intro, broad perspective type thing.
Yeah.
For me. So
yeah.
Good.
Let me ask this open question. How did you guys choose your college?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that is really good.
So my whole life, my dad was a football coach at Furman University. And so he went down to high school when I was in elementary school. And so, it was just second nature. Of course, I'm going to go to Furman. And then my dad tricked me into visiting other colleges. Like, he pulled off. And I said, I'm not going to PC. I'm not going to Clemson. I'm going to Furman. And so we were going on a college visit to Furman. And then he pulled off on the interstate and we went to PC. And
Nice.
my admissions counselor at PC told me that day. And it was the weirdest thing because we were going around, we were in a golf cart, so we were getting like the real treatment. But we were like riding around a golf cart, and the admissions counselor was speaking to every professor we would see walking, and every professor would call her by name. We're like, that's kind of weird. Odd, pretty cool. But then towards the end, my admissions counselor did tell me, she said, I know you're probably looking at a lot of schools, but once you decide small school, big school, the decision will be really easy. And I remember thinking, how does she know that? Like, what does that mean? Because I'm looking at a lot of small schools and looking at some bigger schools. And then it really did. Once I'm sorry, my cousins went to Clemson, great school, but all those hills, I was so tired.
Walking a glass. Hey, we got to stay in the low
like,
country type area here.
And in that weekend,
Really
I
works your calves,
realized
though.
that small school was what I needed. And then my guidance counselor in high school said, before you choose a school, I want you to eat there, sleep there, go to class there. And I said, I guess that makes sense. Yeah. And I did that at PC, and I just really I went to Presbyterian College, and I really, you just knew. It was one of those things, I just knew that was my spot. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, what's a blue hose?
Okay. Think Scottish warrior. Think Braveheart.
Oh, I knew that.
Yeah.
And
then think of the stockings that he wears. So they used to be the blue stockings.
So you're not named after the warrior. You're named after the stockings they wear.
Moving on.
The warrior.
Oh man, that hurts.
Hey, no, I'm not hating much. It's better than the kilts. You can name the kilt, the blue
Me
kilts.
and the kilts.
It's
No,
true. It's very true.
Yeah, I just think Scottish warrior. Pretty tough.
Gotcha.
TUFF.
Tough.
Got it.
Yeah, TUFF, right?
Yes.
Love that. So you got to experience the life there. So you recommend spending a day in the life at the college?
And I would for sure recommend going to the school, going to a class, staying the night. All schools probably have
So you went
some
through
kind
like
of
a program.
program, where I ate there.
Right.
I just got to see how people interacted with each other, and then that was probably the biggest thing is seeing. Because I went to a very small high school. My graduating class was 200 people.
Oh.
And so I didn't
Mine
think
was 180.
No, wait, yeah, mine was less than, in my mind, I just pictured the whole school. Your
my
graduating
graduating
class was 200.
It was 200.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And
I was
so-
similar. I was like 120.
Yeah.
My class.
Really?
You were bigger?
Yeah, I think so. I think we had like 3 or 4 in our graduating class.
Yeah. And
So-
I didn't realize how important that was to me to kind of stay in that small environment. But then
Yeah.
it was funny. I was kind of thinking to myself before, like while I was applying to schools, and I said, why is it that I have a A in AP English with 9 people and I don't know, B or an A, whatever, in honors or CP stat, whatever I was in, I just needed that attention, not the attention. I needed that
'Cause it was
small
math, too.
environment. Yeah, and it was math. But I needed that small school
English, you were all
environment.
over it.
Attack our couch.
Yeah.
My math
You got the
friends
math
over
covered
here.
right here. Come on, learn. Sit down. Come on.
Money cake?
I cannot. No, but, but
All right, back to it.
I really did. It just took, and this is maybe something that I would speak on for the next podcast about knowing yourself. But I just like really had to sit down and understand myself and say, okay, I work better in smaller groups with smaller amounts of people. My college classes were probably, I think it was 17 was the average class size. And so, I mean, I was never in a huge auditorium style class. And that works for some people, but that wouldn't have worked for me. And I needed that one-on-one space for my professors to me.
How many undergrads are at PC? Do you know?
Like 1,000. Yeah.
Only 1,000 undergrads? Okay, so that's
And
even
then they
smaller
just
than the Citadel.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's small. And then they just opened the pharmacy school.
Yeah.
And that's about maybe a
Couple
hundred.
Okay, okay. Because there's probably a rule of thumb there, there's so many options. It's like paralysis by analysis. Yeah. A good way to kind of start to break it down is you want to go to a small or big school. So probably a rule of thumb, because the Citadel felt like a small school, and it's about 2,000 undergrads. And then you have day students and some grad students in the mix, but you usually have classes together. So there's probably a rule of thumb there that if you want to go to a small school, probably 2,500 to 3,000 or 4,000 is probably what you might be looking for. And I had a great experience with that in my high school, because I also went to a small high school. It had 600 total students and 120 in our graduating class. And that class, that size is like, I feel like perfect.
Yeah.
There's something the culture, I think, glamorizes with these big schools and big high schools and these just monstrous buildings, and look at what we've built, look at what we've done. Like everybody judges it by like the size of the building or size of the campus or big student population, but that it has very little indication on success. And what's most important is the success of the graduates, I think. Yeah. I mean, that's really what you need to gauge it on. Yeah. Like
Look
what percentage of the grads are like really doing really great things with their careers and with their life. So yeah, if you're looking for a small school, maybe rule of thumb's around like 3,000 max or something like that. Yeah. So
how big is CSU?
CSU is right at like 3,000. Okay. I just looked it up. It's like 3,062.
Yeah.
So relatively small. Yeah, relatively small. Maybe then smaller than I'm sure like Clemson. I don't know how many people go to Clemson or USC or something. Yeah, I just know a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Charles, how'd you get to CSU?
Okay, so it's not exciting at all.
That's
right?
kind of how mine is. Like, Kelly had this long
Charles,
story.
I love that you preface just all of your stories with "it's not exciting at all."
I have to be honest,
just
man.
set the bar low, then just crush the bar.
No,
I mean, there you go.
And just crush
That's
it.
how you do
What
it.
a great tactic.
I just have to be honest, man. So I was in the military after I graduated high school. So I think I graduated high school, had about a year layoff, and then I was off to boot camp or whatever. So my process of jumping back into college, I think, was just really pragmatic. I just kind of went with whatever school was closest. So I worked right here on Joint Base Charleston. I think I called the Citadel, but when I called them, I don't know what it was. I just didn't get the vibe, if you will, if there is a vibe.
Citadel admissions.
Yeah.
That's where they screwed up.
Yep. So I went to Charleston Southern. I just walked into their ROTC detachment. I think I was in uniform, and I actually was kind of using it as a way to like get out of work. I was like, hey guys, because if you tell somebody you're going to school, like, hey man, I'm going to school, I'll be right back. They're like, okay, cool, man, go do your thing.
Right on.
And so I went up to the ROTC detachment, and I met, the majors and the lieutenant colonels up there, and they were just some really nice ladies. And so I was just like, you know what, you guys are like 2 minutes away. Let me apply to the school.
Sign me up.
Yep, sign me up.
Let me learn something from y'all.
And so when I got out the military, so generally what people will do is like they'll save up their leave for terminal leave. So if I have like 60 days of vacation, if you will, people will get out and they'll just stay on that 60 days of vacation so that they continue to get paid.
Yeah.
Because you just get paid the same. I didn't have that luxury. I think I had like close to 50 or something days. I had just come back from a deployment or something, so I had a lot of days. And so I think I left the military like that Friday, and then that Monday I was in class.
Wow.
And I was just
Quick
like,
turnaround.
where's this building? And
Got my book bag.
yeah. So
Hey, they made that easy for you.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be.
yeah, so I just chose it. It was close. Cool thing is though, it is small. I didn't really kind of understand that till I started meeting some of my friends from bigger schools, right? And I have like some cool one-on-one relationships with some teachers. You have teachers like invite you, hey man, what you doing for Thanksgiving? If you ain't got nothing going on, you can come to my house. Like, I don't think that would happen at a really big school, so
Word would get out.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
party at Professor Smith's
yeah,
house.
probably so. But yeah, I really love CSU. I really do like the teachers, the people I've met. In political science, my major is a even smaller, I feel like, degree.
Right. Yeah. The groups keep breaking down.
Yeah. So
For sure. Engineering was very small compared to other majors.
Yeah.
At the
Right.
We
school.
had like 10 in our math education
yeah,
department.
And so you have class with the same people, which I think is really cool too.
Yeah.
It's like, hey man, I've seen you since 2016 or whatever. How you doing?
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
And that's how I went to Charleston Southern University, home of the Bucks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
So-
what did for maybe our listeners who are considering military, what was like your real big pull to join the military? Did you know like your whole life that was what you wanted, or
Yeah, not at all, actually, man. It's that's a really good question because I was thinking about that, just kind of reflecting back, like this week and last week. So in high school, so my father and my mother were in the military, and I wanted no parts, man. Honestly, like my dream was to graduate high school. I never really played basketball in high school, like on the team. But I wanted to go to a community college and then go transfer to Duke or UNC. Like that
Yeah.
was,
Blue Devils.
I was a big Tar Heel fan.
Yeah.
oh, on the love seat,
Love
not
seat
working.
divided.
This is a problem. This is a problem.
Yikes.
I just wanted to go.
Fired.
I just wanted to go play somewhere, I guess high profile, if you will.
Yeah.
But I was in junior Air Force ROTC in high school, and my lieutenant colonel at the time, you have to take this military test, like this aptitude test to kind of enter. And so the day that they offered it at the school, apparently some people didn't show up. And so they let
They
it
have
out.
lots of tests.
Extra test. I'm going to get Charles to take the test.
Yeah, basically he just
That's
asked me,
awesome.
he told me, he's like, hey man, go take that test. I was like, sir, I am not trying to join the military. He's like, hey man, you never know.
Wait,
So-
yeah, isn't that awesome that there are people like that? That
Yeah.
just like, no, like,
Yes.
you need to go do this now.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, got it.
Yep.
And look at you.
Yep.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a nudge,
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
often someone a little bit more experienced and a little bit older than you just to call
Yeah.
something out in you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a God thing, man, because, I went and I took the test. I did pretty well. And then, I didn't think anything of it, right? Fast forward after I graduate, I think I was working on a Marine base. I was actually working at like an exchange, just think like a Walmart,
Yeah.
in the civilian world, if you will. And I was doing good there, but I got fired.
Oh my God.
But you were doing good?
Yeah.
You're
Actually,
doing good there, but you got fired. I hear you, man.
So-
It happens
So I was doing good,
so
like
often.
I was doing good as far as like my interaction with customers, right? So I had a lot of customer comment cards, positive ones, blah, blah, blah. But the reason I got fired, I was late a few times, and we did this thing called price matching. So if there's someplace
yeah.
else, you can get it for cheaper, blah, 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 right? So I price matched somebody's TV. It ended up being like the wrong TV. So it was like $800 difference. So they was like, sorry, dog, you got to go.
We lost some cash on you.
Yeah. So that happened, man. And then the next day I was just like, I'm going to go join the Air Force because I didn't want to be at home. You know how it is as a
Hey.
dude. It's just like, look, 18, 19, it's time to go. And I went to the
So you're
recruiter's
saying
office.
there's hope for people.
Yeah, there is, man. There is. Went to the recruiter's office. And the thing with my test is the test is only good for 2 years.
Oh wow.
So they just reached back and got this test that I had taken and done well in high school that I probably would not have done well afterwards, just because in high school I was like,
the
I'm
zone.
in
So,
math.
Yeah.
I'm in English. So all that stuff is kind of easy to recall. And I went seen a recruiter, and like 3 months later, man, I was actually, October of 2012, I was sayonara, man. And the rest is history. It's been a blast.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. But
That's
thank you.
awesome.
That's a great question.
Well, yeah. Well, and we are filming this or recording this on Veterans Day. So I just was also curious, thinking about like reflecting on people in my life who have served and, people I know who are serving or have served.
Yeah.
At church today, they had everyone stand up, which was really special. But yeah, I was just curious what kind of propelled you to go that way. Because I know some people, they are just, and I would like to know the stat. I don't know how we'd find out, but based on what our JRTC, that high school has, how many actually go into that.
Yeah,
because
that's
our high
interesting.
school is Navy.
Yeah.
And so it
Okay.
makes me, I'm just curious. I would like to know how many people go into the Navy because they had that JRTC experience.
Yeah, that's interesting. That'd be an interesting study.
Yeah. I don't know. I think JROTC's a generally good thing. They didn't offer it in my high school, so it was never even a thing to consider.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, for those out there that are the younger listeners and are thinking about it, I'd say, just give it a shot,
Yeah.
It teaches so many things that you don't get
Yeah.
in just the classroom or in other clubs. You know,
yeah.
it's just a distinct,
Some major soft skills.
it's just a thing in its own league. And much like the Citadel being a military college, teaches just puts you in different scenarios you don't get at other schools. I think joining JROTC does the same thing. By the same token, don't think just because you did JROTC that you're like all of a sudden in the military.
Yeah,
or something
please
like
don't.
Because that at the
Please
Citadel,
don't.
that was actually, I'll be honest, that was the thing. You would get these JROTC knobs, and we have like real deal like
JROTC.
like
JROTC.
I look. I mean,
Never called it that.
JROTC, JROTC Nazis, little Citadel thing.
We're done.
Yeah,
There goes the podcast.
yeah. Hey, just telling it like it is.
Yeah.
I mean, at the Citadel, because you would get some 18-year-olds that would think they kind of just know everything, right?
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing. You got to come into situations with humility, especially around the
Yes.
bottom of the totem pole. And that's something that I am not good at. What's up, John Jacobs? Shout out.
Hey,
That's humility is something that definitely I definitely have to check myself, especially because you want to have confidence but still show respect for those that have gone before you or that are above you and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
So there's a fine line there between having confidence in what you know and where you've been, but also respecting where others have been as well.
Yeah.
So that was the thing at the Citadel,
Yeah.
I mean,
I think the thing though, like with the humility piece, especially in the military, man, that it's kind of easy to glean from is that there are people who have done more and who have sacrificed more, right? Like, I can remember, I was in Afghanistan and I watched them do what's called a dignified transfer. And the dignified transfer is where somebody dies in the field of battle and they, they're in a casket and they take them from one mode of transport to the next. So this particular gentleman, Sergeant Matthew McClintock, man, I'll never forget his face and his story, man. And we were like outside in Kabul, like shivering, it was like 3:00 in the morning, right? And they brought his casket from the Humvee to the C-130. And when I looked at his story, it was like he had just had a kid. He was 2 weeks away from going home. And so like sometimes it's kind of easy to kind of get wrapped up in like what you do or whatever like you do well with, right? But then when you think of people like Sergeant Matthew McClintock or other individuals, it's like, man, they gave more than I ever could,
wow.
or consciously could give rather, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, but in the military, a lot of stuff like that, it's easy for that to go to people's heads.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it's definitely humbling too. In the barracks, at least in my company alone, there was one square painted in the gallery. And the gallery area is like the hallway, but it's open.
Okay.
And it's where you walk down to go to your barrack room and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there's this one square that was painted in honor of someone that had left the Citadel to go ahead and go into the military, and I think he enlisted because maybe he couldn't pay tuition anymore or something, and then he ended up dying in the field of battle. And so it's really humbling whenever you have those examples to fall back on. And so this square was painted with his name in it and like his years that we couldn't walk through it. We had to avoid it. I think that's a really good thing to have to honor people.
It's really special.
Amen.
So other companies had many similar things like that too.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Amen.
yeah, man. On Veterans Day, man. Appreciate your service.
Yeah,
hey,
thanks,
we
you
were
guys.
thanking you pre-show.
Yeah.
And hey, we'll thank you
Yeah.
live right now.
Thank you for allowing me. You know, y'all do y'all part, pay your taxes, all that good stuff. So I mean, really, like, I'm employed by you guys, so thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for allowing me.
Yeah.
Charles.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So humble.
Pay your taxes, by the way.
Pay your taxes. Pay the man.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Don't get
man.
pegged with tax
Oh,
evasion.
man.
Nope.
That's a good lesson, I
Please
suppose.
We
don't.
also don't want.
Yeah, one thing I'm kind of hearing is there's not necessarily a linear path toward your college
Very
or your
good,
life
yeah.
after college.
For sure.
I know for me, I wanted to be an architect for the longest time growing up. My family knew some architects.
Same.
And
Same.
and,
Kyle, I was going to Clemson to be an architect.
My math.
did you
Oh,
actually wait?
man.
Did you actually go to Clemson?
No.
Okay, but you
until,
were
like,
gonna go to
no.
Clemson.
until like April of May of my senior
cut 'em off.
year. I applied
The
to
day before graduation.
I mean-
no, listen, I was a typical youngest child. I applied to Presbyterian College in Clemson because that was it. And I knew I wasn't going to PC because my sister went there and I'm from the same
Definitely not
town.
going
And I'm
to
like,
PC.
for sure not going there. So I'm just going to Clemson. It was just kind of like my safety net. Just my mom made me apply to another school. Applied to Clemson, got in Clemson and Presbyterian College, toured both, went to both. Actually found a roommate for Presbyterian College. Hadn't met anyone going to Clemson. Still was going to Clemson because I am the youngest child and I'm going to do what I want.
Oh yeah.
And going to Clemson was going to be an architect, was going to do great things. And then I just went to Presbyterian because it just made more sense because
Yeah.
I hadn't met anyone going to Clemson besides like 2 people from my high school. And I knew like I wanted to go to college to make like, not like make new friends, like still keep my high school friends, but like to still like really figure out who I am, what I want to do, who I'm going to be. So I just went to Presbyterian because I met more people.
But then, so how did you settle on the math major part?
Oh yeah, that's
Oh,
really interesting.
You couldn't architect.
Yeah, there's
Architect.
No
You couldn't
architect.
architect.
There's no architects at
No, there's a
Presbyterian
software
College.
called ArchiCAD. I laugh every time I hear it. ArchiCAD, so cute.
Yeah. Well, so that was kind of just like the dream was to be an architect, and like going to Clemson, like it could come true. And then when I decided to go to PC, I just was like, I will be a math teacher because I love high school. I love school. I grew up around school. I think it's really fun, and math was kind of easier than other subjects to me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of how it rolled, and I just kind of went with it, and I'm so glad.
Well, and I was going to say, too, another thing, and I think we're pretty similar on this, with high school, college work, like don't be afraid to take your own path. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
for you in that moment, going to Clemson was easier or made more sense because you didn't want to do what your sister did or do that thing, but you choosing to really do you and do
Yeah.
to do you,
Do
you know,
me.
but to just
Do you, boo?
okay, here's the deal. do you, boo? Just to do your own thing and say, this is what I need for growth, or this is
Yeah.
my next step, like
Yeah.
my appropriate next step. Even for you, with being in your hometown, I think that still grew you and
Yeah,
was
for
like
sure.
the most appropriate choice
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Really.
Nice.
I just met more people at PC and I said, this will do. Like I had a roommate lined up.
That'll do.
I really
That'll do.
I had a roommate lined up at PC
That'll
and
do,
like,
donkey.
went to accept no. I went
just
to
think of Shrek
acceptance
every time I
students
hear
day and they like had like stars on everyone's name tag if you had paid your deposit and you were going. And so I'm like
That's
looking
how they
around.
got you?
Yeah, I didn't have a star. And so everyone, like all the admissions counselors were like, oh yeah, like okay, so like you need to like, you know, kind of like market like people who don't have stars, you gotta like make
Butter
sure
'em
you can
up.
seal the deal.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
That's fair.
And so
That's fair.
everyone just kept asking me, and but even before that day, I was like, I'm going to Clemson. I'm just going to this because my mom is making me. And I kind of maybe told this girl I would be her roommate at BC. and so I went, and they're all so nice. And I was like, okay, this is perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That'll
it.
do.
that'll
Yeah,
do.
and I mean, I have friends. So Sarah Margaret
Sarah Margaret,
Yeah.
Smarge.
is a mutual friend of
Smarge.
ours that Smarge that,
Hey,
that I
girl.
went to high school with. That we had mutual friends. Shout out. And yeah, I mean, she was. I mean, she's a great person. She went to PC, so I mean, it's not like we're comparing like some
Yeah,
some
Yeah.
podunk school.
Better
They're
than
really great
another one.
options, and actually they're both really close to each other as well.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
but no, I was right there with you. I want to be an architect, and then it was
Architect.
reel it. No, I grew up being a Tar Heel fan, and so I don't remember if they had architecture or engineering for that matter. They're really well known for medical, actually, more than anything.
Okay.
But so actually, I wanted to go to the UNC Chapel Hill until I was like 17 years old. I mean, it was like late junior year.
Yeah.
And it was both a decision on major because I knew I wanted to do something with math. That was always my strength ever since like kindergarten, like a long time.
Counting the number cubes.
Yeah. So
Mental math.
we used to have that game. How many marbles are in this jar? And like
What's
that
called? Spatial math?
I would I would wait until the teacher would stop looking. I'd just pour it out and then count them and then put them back in.
Oh, I thought
We
you
have
were
a
saying
cheater.
that you were that good at
At
spatial
guessing.
math.
I guessed the number exactly right one time, and the teacher was like, "Wow."
You're the best.
I'm like, "Yeah."
I counted
I did that.
correctly.
I'm
I
gonna
did
be
that.
an architect.
But I want to be an architect, and then I changed it to engineering for a variety of reasons. But I was so blessed. Like, really consider finances. Like, even if your parents are paying for college, which hopefully they are, if you're gonna go to college, consider it like it's your own money.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
100%.
if they're not paying for it, then work your way through college. I'd highly recommend, because what's worse than choosing the wrong major, I think, is just the debt that you get from it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Amen.
if you can stay out of debt, it almost doesn't matter to me if you're going to go to college and choose a major.
Yeah.
But carrying on that debt is really a struggle, as I think we're finding with grads in their 20s going into their 30s.
And Callie is really good at doing all of that, the money game, figuring out scholarships.
I'm just gonna say I took the SAT 8 times.
It was like
8
a game.
times?
It was
8
a game
times.
to
Well,
her.
it did become a game because I took all of those classes to understand, the full test. But it became a game for my dad. He kept signing me up because he was like, "How high can she go?"
How can you even take it 8 times? How
I mean,
how
they
often
let
do they
it.
offer this thing?
As long
Well-
as you are paying, they are.
Well, right,
is
and
true.
I mean, I was taking it into December
Took it
because
twice a day
at that point I was, in college,
to.
but PC had like if you scored 1,100, you got X
Yeah.
amount. 1,200 X amount.
Right.
1,300,
Right.
you got $16,000. And that might be the same
Got it.
now. But so my dad was like, "Can she get it? Does she really want a car?"
Yeah.
And so
Yes, some type of bribery.
Right, right.
For sure.
But that's the thing. Really be aware of where you're going, what kind of financial aid you can get, like what you're eligible for.
Yeah.
And really seek out those scholarships because, I mean, I applied for any random scholarship that's in my hometown, and $500, $500. People are going to
Yeah,
look
man.
at that and say,
Yeah.
"Is it worth the work?" Like the work, yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
$500. Do it.
And it's especially worth the work now that you're out of college and like you don't have student loans that you
Yeah.
have to pay.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I paid like $2,000 a year because
That's
I
clutch.
just found
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
I found the scholarships,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my brother was the same way. But, our dad worked in college prior to that, so he kind of knew
He understood.
this is how we need to get our FAFSA done now. Like,
Yeah.
I know what a FAFSA is. Well,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't know going in
Yeah.
to their college decision-making time.
Yeah. So I know my track. I mean, the Citadel was always something that I grew up around. Obviously, being from Charleston, my dad was a grad. But really, it was something I was similar. Like, I want to go my own way.
Yeah.
Military, I just didn't really care to go into the military. And actually, I even pursued at one time, but that's kind of a whole nother tangent there. But yeah, it kind of changed. So the school kind of altered me into the engineering direction because they don't have architecture, but they have a great engineering program. And actually, they only had 2 options. So it was kind of funny. I had a senior mentor. Again, that's kind of another tangent, but I had a senior mentor in college for our senior thesis that we had to write. And so I did a 60-page senior thesis as part of my graduation requirements, and had a senior mentor, and he's a mechanical. And so actually I wanted to go mechanical.
Yeah.
And so I narrowed it down to engineering schools.
Mm-hmm.
And so USC, Clemson, and Citadel were kind of the main ones.
Got it, yeah.
And then a full ride was offered for the Citadel, along with state scholarship, along with other scholarships.
Yeah.
And so I'm telling you, if you follow the right procedures and really take being a student as your job in the current season you're in, I mean, you'd be blown away by what you can do, and then the results that will follow down the line from achieving those levels and getting those scholarships. And so So that was kind of my route. It was definitely a financial decision because my parents had money for college, and my dad was pretty stoked because he ended up buying a convertible with the money.
So then he got the car. You didn't get the car.
He like reverse bribed it. Like I didn't get anything, but he got something for my scholarship money.
Hey man, if you get accepted, I'll buy that vet.
Yeah, right.
For me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
I'll get this.
All right, Pop, sounds like a deal. Yeah.
You got it, Dad.
So, but engineering, I
Man.
tell you what, call for engineers out there. For those that are good at math, consider that as a field because, and I know y'all are teachers, like teaching's awesome, military, it's all awesome. But I'll tell you, just being as an engineer, it's a great time to be an engineer.
Yeah.
Job security is there, and our job placement out of college was about 100%.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's
Great.
also like so
That's
many.
great.
You were talking about different like routes you could take with engineering. So like I
Yeah.
have a couple students who are juniors now, and we're like starting to look at colleges together. And they're like, I'm thinking engineering. So I was like, well, let's like look and see what programs are offered and what colleges. Just kind of looking going that way and what you can do with your engineering degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much. Even in
Yeah.
the field of civil, which is what I do. Civil is very broad. You can do structural, you can do geotech, you can do all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so there's so much to it. If there's questions, hey, hit us up on the Instagram
Yeah,
and give
man.
us questions
Yeah.
and Facebook and all that stuff.
Who
Any
y'all?
questions?
So
Yeah.
All questions.
So I love that, and I kind of want to start to turn it a little bit to
Yeah.
career.
Yeah.
In that there's a few ideas that I at least want to kick off with and just kind of lay them out there because I think they're important. Number one, don't be so anxious about choosing your major, but worry more about who you are. Are you a studious
Yeah.
person? Are you a
Yeah.
person that's hardworking? Are you a person that's passionate about making a difference and that sort of thing? Because if you're a hard worker and if you're a good people person, then the major will figure itself out. And your major generally doesn't go and fit right
Yeah.
into a certain
For sure.
career path.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
world of the market and business is so big.
Right.
Like there's so many needs out there
Yeah.
that it's not like, oh, I got a history degree, so I'll be a history teacher. It's like you get history. You could, I don't know, you could do
Do a
many
lot.
different things based on
Yep.
who you
Yeah.
are as a person.
Yep.
And so I think that's very important. And so, because I see it with young people being so anxious and they think their future is going to get locked in
Yeah.
in their college and in their major. And
Yeah.
it's very important. And you should definitely think about it. But I don't think that you should think about it so much that you're so anxious and get paralysis by analysis.
Yeah.
And I think probably the biggest thing is to try to reach out to somebody who is a little bit above you and maybe someone who's a grad of a certain school
Right.
or has a job in a field that you're interested in and get some actual feedback
Yeah.
as opposed to just thinking and racking your brain and, oh, I don't know if this is going to work. Like the information's out there. The people are out there that want to help. And so
Right.
I know we represent a couple of careers here that we're happy to try to field any questions that may come along. But there's plenty of people, if you ask your parents, ask your guidance counselor, use them. That's what they're for. Ask any teacher at school because they have friends too, right? Y'all are
Yeah.
teachers.
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 Y'all know people.
We know.
Y'all might have some students that want to be engineers. Hey, I'm
Yeah.
happy.
I like
A class
Yeah.
guest.
yeah,
Money
right.
K coming in.
Happy to talk to them.
to
So
the algebra students.
I at least want to lay that out there because I see it and it's so important that you at least make steps in the right direction as you see it, but don't be so worried about that one decision because there's so many other
Yeah.
decisions
yeah,
that are more important.
I like what you said about knowing like what you're good at, your like communication skills, your people skills, stuff like that, knowing what you're good at because it's okay if you don't know what you want to do
Yeah.
with your life. It's okay.
Yeah.
But just knowing, understanding that you're really good at doing something and that's like maybe what you could use to do for the rest of your life to serve others, to
Yeah.
to make your money, to do like that.
Right.
It's okay that you don't know what you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and something my dad has always said is he will say about his job, he's like, I've never worked a day in my life. And that's, so cliche, but it's so cool.
That's so cute.
I know. Isn't it sweet? Well, it's more like, I've never worked a day in my life. But
He was the OG of that phrase.
oh,
Yes.
okay. Everyone says it, but I mean, it's so
They
true.
got it
If
from
you
him.
find, no, wait.
I like it. Keep going.
If you find something
voice.
that you're so passionate about and like, I mean, you spend more time at your work than you with your families,
Yeah.
so you better enjoy it. And we even talked today in our small group, we, another leader, she said, or you can be 28 years old and go back to school and that's okay.
Yeah.
This idea of
Sure.
it's not linear, and how you
Yep.
decide how you want to live your life because you're living, you might as
Yeah.
well do what you enjoy doing,
Yeah.
and find your passion that way.
Yeah. A lot of people underestimate or overestimate what they can do in the short term and underestimate what they can do in the long term. And like going back to school is like an investment in the long term.
I like that.
And so for sure, I mean, I've made serious thought into whether I want to go back for an MBA, a
Mhm.
master's in business
Mhm.
administration, or other things.
Yeah.
And I've kind of settled on just trying to develop myself by reading books,
Yeah.
which if you're the kind of person that you can make it a habit to like read constantly, then that may work out. But most people, and even me, I still struggle with it. But you know, when you get an education, I mean, yeah, you get the degree, but you're also paying somebody to actually like hit you with the whip and like make you study and give you assignments and stuff like that. So, but if you can still do some self-development. You should do some self-development.
Yeah.
You should be reading and continuing learning, because that's a misconception, I think, is that people graduate from high school or college and think their learning's done, but really the learning is really just beginning.
Yeah.
And that's a huge misconception, I think. And it's easy to fall into it because you just like finally get to catch your breath after one of the graduations or whatnot. It's like, you want to catch your breath, but catching your breath sometimes can turn into sleeping on the couch.
Yep.
And getting totally out of the race.
Yeah. It's so funny you say that, man, because I was thinking about that earlier this week. I was actually looking at looking at different master's degrees. I also was looking at like an MBA. I haven't graduated with my undergrad yet, but I'm already kind of thinking like, all right, as soon as I finish this, at my earliest convenience, I need to jump into school, because the longer I live, right, like, you know, you get married, you have kids, it makes everything else harder. And so, and I guess like to your first point really too, like if you aren't studious, like I'll be honest, man, I probably barely graduated high school. Like I don't know how they let me out of the school. You know, my grades were so bad.
He's
but
a nice guy.
Look at you now, man.
He needs to go join the military. So
Charles, he needs to take this test.
Yep. Yeah, that's really why I told me no. But you know, I needed that time in the Air Force, like I guess to kind of mature and take some time to self-develop. So even if you're not that, you know, straight A student in high school, that can change, man. Because I think I was at like a 1. Had to be like a my GPA probably matched my grade.
So you're saying there's hope.
Probably like a 1.7, something like that. And now it's, you know, I mean, it ain't nothing super impressive, but it's a 3.0, you know. So to go from a 1 to a 3, I think that's okay, you know. So
yeah, we would have a couple day students in engineering, especially veteran students.
Yeah,
veteran students especially, man.
Yeah, man.
Who were coming back to school. Dude, they were some of the hardest working. They'd get 4.0s all the time.
Yeah.
Who knows how good they did in high school?
Right. Yeah.
But they've been hit in the face with life a little bit.
Yeah.
And they're focused.
Yep.
Right. And they know what they're there for.
Yeah.
A lot more focused than a lot of other college students.
Yeah, I think the great thing is too is like you're so young, you really have opportunities. Like if you have messed up, you actually have a lot of opportunity to kind of fix that. Now, once you're kind of 40, 50, kind of hard, right? But you know, at 18, cool, you might have flunked out of high school. You actually have ample opportunity to fix that.
Yeah.
Right.
So
yeah. A couple other ideas. You know, the other idea that came to mind, and then I swear I have like sort of a final blank here, is be someone who's incredibly easy to work with.
Amen.
Right. Be someone who's incredibly easy to work with. That's something that is something that I wish someone told me.
Mm-hmm.
And I see in a couple of examples of like I had some a professional friend who needed some help, willing to pay me, and I was sent some files.
Yeah.
And I needed to increase my space online. I needed to pay some more money to be able to accept these files.
Okay.
And instead of saying, "Hey, is this additional fee going to be included in our original agreement?" I was like, "No, I'll pay the freaking $20 or whatever it is because he's paying me $100, right?" It's like make it extremely easy and just get the work done, right?
Yeah.
And anytime you have an assignment, I mean, certainly ask questions, like make sure you understand what you're doing. But you are there to make your boss's life easy.
Yep.
You are there to make your client's life easier and solve problems for them, whatever your work situation looks like, and just be incredibly easy to work with. And you'd be surprised at how far you can go just by being someone who people look forward to working with.
Right.
You know, like in engineering, a lot of people don't necessarily want to get the cheapest engineer or the cheapest builder. They want to get someone that they want to work with because it's like a 2-year process that you're talking, emailing, conference calls.
Yeah.
And they want someone that has the skills and is just a good person.
Right.
You know,
Amen.
not someone who just blows up
Yeah.
on their emails, right? You know, I heard or I was told, you know, don't put anything in an email that you don't want posted in the New York Times.
Yeah, man.
And that saved me a lot.
Yeah.
Because you can definitely you can receive some pretty nasty emails at times.
Yeah.
It's bound to happen.
Yep.
But I'm telling you, I was in one of our other offices and a couple years ago, and my coworker, who's my boss for about a month, showed me an email from a former employee who worked right under him, just blasting this guy, just getting so angry, just nitpicky and detailed about something.
Yeah.
And it was just a really funny email. And I was like, oh man, when did he send this to you? It's like, oh, about 3 years ago. It's like, he still has it.
Right.
Who knows how many people he showed that email to?
Right. Right.
It's terrifying.
So we got to laugh about it, right?
That's crazy.
So you got to be wise
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
But that was another thing, especially me, just my personality. I got to remind myself, I got to be someone that's incredibly easy to work with. Not necessarily like a yes man or anything like that.
Right. Yeah.
But someone who's incredibly easy to work with. And so my main one would be, I mean, this is straight out of Jim Rohn. I'm a big Jim Rohn fan.
Okay.
Who, has mentored Tony Robbins and all this stuff.
Oh, okay.
Impacted millions of people and all this stuff. But, Jim Rohn, his biggest thing was, work on yourself more than you work on your job. And that's one that I think is really powerful. And it's important to recognize that your job doesn't really hold the value. Like, you hold the value and you add value to the marketplace.
Right.
But your job is really like a temporary season thing. Like, I think of my job as my full-time engineering job. I still think of it as a part-time job, even though I put in 40 hours a week. Because there's plenty of other things that you do. And really, your job eventually shouldn't be like your number one priority. I mean, it's important. You got to balance it. But it's lower than family.
Yeah.
It should be lower than your faith. And if it gets to a point where, you're just not in a good spot, like, you're more important than your job. Don't drive yourself too crazy, right?
Yep.
And so I think that's important. Like, develop yourself, like we're talking about. Like, who are you as a person? I think it's a lot more important. You could put in 60-hour weeks when you're only asked for 40, and your boss is going to love you, and you might get more money. But is it actually making you better?
Yeah.
Is it something transferable to where if the market collapses and your employer, even though you're doing 60 hours a week, your employer just had to let you go because it's just not working out. Yeah. And you go out of business. Like, did you add value to yourself in all that time?
Right.
Yeah.
To where it's transferable to something else. Because I've been in the workplace now for 5 years, and I've had amazing opportunities, but I'm not with the same employer that I was out of college, right? You go into it thinking, oh, I hope this works out forever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
But you're often not with the same employer forever.
Yeah.
And so it's important, like, develop yourself.
Amen.
So
Amen.
that was probably one of my biggest thoughts right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think just kind of like in preparation for, this discussion, man, it's always cool, right, when you have something from school that you can bring into the thing, right?
Yeah. Bring it.
Applicable knowledge.
Yeah.
So
that's always nice.
Yeah, man.
Love when I can apply it.
So in my world literature class, we're reading this story by this gentleman by the name of Leo Tolstoy, Russian author. He actually used to be a nihilist. For those who don't know, a nihilist is somebody, it's different from atheism, but they think that, like, when you die, like, you cease consciousness. Everything stops. There's nothing before or after this life here on earth. Right. So he wrote this story called The Death of Ivan Ilyich. And so basically the premise throughout the story is that, so it starts off with his funeral, and all the people who were supposed to be close to him don't really care, like, that he's dead. They're just thinking about who is going to fill his job, who's going to pay my pension, who's going to provide for me and stuff like that. And it kind of starts off, I think the opening quote is, Ivan Ilyich had a ordinary and simple life, and it was the most terrible thing that ever happened to him. And so I think, like, growing up, everybody's kind of, at least, where I was, at least, everybody's just thinking about, man, you just got to get a job that pays you, $60,000, $50,000 a year, and you'll be okay and you'll die. And I'm just like, that's not cool, man.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, as much as I love my time in the Air Force, as much as I love, the experiences, the people I've met and all of that, like, one day I have to go, whether that's in a funeral casket or I retire honorably. Yeah. Right. So, it's not, I would say to the listeners out there who are thinking about something to do, don't just think in terms of, what can a job provide you with financially. Yeah. You can make money doing anything. You really can, so think about kind of like what you were saying, developing yourself, but then also developing other people. Like, what are people going to say about you when you go?
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was a hard worker, man. Yeah. Love that dude. Yeah. Charles was, he could fly, man. Like, nah, that's cool and all, but I want people to think of me more so in the sense like, man, he was a really intentional dude.
Yeah.
As far as like with our relationships. And I want to take that and do the same with my other relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So-
love that.
So if the ordinary
That's
simple
awesome.
life is not what we may want to strive for, what are a couple words that come to mind that we should strive for?
Okay. Yeah, man. That's a good one. So maybe reach outside yourself in a sense. I think it's good. Obviously, yes, know your strengths, but know your weaknesses and seek to grow in those areas that you're weak in. I'll be honest, like it's kind of funny being here now, like being in certain environments, because people have pegged me as like a people person. And I'm just like, dude, if you knew me a few years ago, that was
So
not
you're saying
me.
there's hope.
Yes, man. If anything,
For all the listeners.
there is hope.
I just
No.
keep bringing that up.
Yeah.
No, well, hey,
Yeah.
one thing that's been on my mind, and then I don't want to
Yeah,
interrupt
no.
you, is like we should be hope peddlers, right?
Yeah.
Like we should be just inspiring hope, like peddling for hope, like looking for things where there's hope.
Yeah.
You know, because you can find it if you look for it.
Yeah.
And you can find it in your friends and stories. You can find it in your own life.
Yeah.
Like keep peddling for hope. And the easiest way that just comes to mind when I think about it is just, you know, I sometimes I look around and it's like some people have the ugly resting face. Right?
Yeah.
Little ugly resting face going on.
Yeah.
Right. Just I should say angry resting face.
Yeah.
Angry resting face. It's probably better. Right. And it's like one way to peddle hope is to just bounce them back with a smile. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Show them a smile. You'd be
Yeah.
surprised at how that can just, because then they'll want to smile back.
Yeah.
You try it, it'll happen. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know y'all know. So
Yeah, man.
be hope peddlers, man.
Yeah, it's crazy too, the things that people think about you when you're not. Let me see how to articulate this. Maybe the things that you think of about yourself, other people will notice different things and probably more meaningful things about you. And I had a airman leadership school while I was in, and we had to do this. We had to give like feedback to each other, right? And I sat across from one girl. She was giving me like some one-on-one feedback, and she was saying like, "Thank you for being accepting of who I am," you know. And I was just like, "What do you mean? Like, I'm just being me." But that's just an example of like there are certain things about your character that other people are looking at and notice that are really important to them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of to go with the soft skills, to go with the self-development. Like you won't have that if you don't work on it. It's not natural by any means.
Yeah.
You know. So,
That's it. Well, I tell you, we got so much more good stuff. We got to fix our battery. Conlon, a little battery time. All right. So we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back right back.
booyah.
Ooh.
All right. So, Callie, what was your word that you want to share for us?
I think I would for sure say, and maybe this is just not necessarily for work, maybe part of your life, and we've touched on it a bit already, but you don't know everything, and I don't think we'll ever know anything all of it. I don't think we'll ever know anything. I mean, maybe, but, and we talked about this in the last podcast too, is being conscious of who you're letting speak into your life for that growth mindset, but also knowing that you need people to help build you up along the way.
Yeah.
Amen.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did
I
you?
So for student teaching, for us, for in the teaching profession, you know, we're in the classroom for our second semester of college, and it is nothing like the real thing.
Not at all.
Classroom management will be different from one class to the next class, and handling discipline will be different from one kid to the next kid, and just like having to roll with the punches and just figure out what works best, trial and error almost even, and just keeping that growth mindset and knowing that you don't know it all. You won't ever know it all. Let's live and love and grow. And that should be like on a t-shirt, on an airbrush t-shirt.
Live, learn,
love,
and
grow. I don't know. Yeah. But just to know that we're all doing the best we can and just keep that mindset of learning.
When it comes to your job, and then maybe you can broaden it to just everyday life, where do you feel like you get the most wisdom or inspiration? Is it from a certain person in your life, or is it just from church, or what?
Oh, I was thinking we are going a different that question. Well, I was going to say, like, what keeps me like moving is when I see kids have that light bulb moment and learning, oh, this is what I want to do with my life, or this is where my passion is, or now I understand it. And seeing that in students every day is what keeps me learning and growing and wanting to be a better person, because I'm seeing them get that high of learning and becoming like little adults. I don't think I could ever do
little adults.
I mean, having high school is just the best because I get to see their next step.
Yeah.
I get to see, this is Ashley's first year students graduation
yes.
year.
Yeah, so it's my 4th year teaching now, and so my freshmen are seniors.
And so that's just always so special.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Your first class will
Gonna
always
be
be your
adults.
favorite class and your best class and the most
I love you all.
memories. So now they're graduating, and Ashley's going to get to see those kids that suck their teeth at her and were like moody 9th graders. And now
look at them.
they're just like so grown and so responsible and
great
so
things.
mature and so like leaders at our school. And so that part is just really cool, just getting to see kids grow. And for those who, aren't teachers like us, in any space of your life where you can be mentoring others.
Yeah.
And I think there's just such a great high that comes with that.
Yeah, totally. I appreciate y'all sharing that too, because I think all of us, when we were in high school, that probably never crossed our mind whether the
Not at
teachers.
all.
I feel like I probably was like, those teachers probably celebrating because they want us gone or something.
Yeah.
But it's probably
I want 'em to
A
leave.
little
It's
emotional.
probably a
for
little
them, at
bit.
least, yeah.
Yeah.
it's probably almost the opposite.
Yes.
For the most part.
Everyone, your teachers care about you, and your teachers want you to succeed.
So stinking much, yeah.
Don't smack your teeth at them. But if you do, learn and grow from it.
And become a great person later.
Yes.
Right.
Like many of mine did.
Remember your teachers.
Especially the freshman ones.
We're people too.
We have feelings.
Oh my gosh.
I would love to sit in
Yeah.
those classroom at some time.
Come on.
Anytime.
Come
Yeah,
on.
that'd be hilarious.
We have a new guest today. His name is Money K. Don't
Money
ask
K.
any questions. He's here to observe.
Unless they're math based.
You could do a live
Or
concert
rap-based.
in mine.
Oh,
Really.
yeah.
We listen to lots of
Yeah, we'll go
math
live.
rap songs. You really could do a live concert.
Yeah.
Graph.
Graph.
Bad. Terrible. Boo.
You know that Usher?
I'll add that to my list of ideas.
Coming up next week, we are doing, the song "Teach Me How to Dougie." Have you heard
never
the
heard of it.
remix? Teach me how to factor. Teach me how to factor.
Oh, let's
Teach
go.
me how to factor.
Let's go.
It's
There are
so
a lot of
much
math
fun.
songs on YouTube. Trust me.
Yeah.
Trust Money K. He would know.
He's one of them.
Hey, mine was an original though. I was one of the first. Then it got really popular. 'Cause everyone's doing it.
Then the YouTube got
Then the
really
YouTube.
popular.
It probably represents a very, very large portion of videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
They're great. They're really great.
Nice
That's
and
funny,
homemade.
man.
27% at least.
Yeah.
Funny.
Perfect.
Cool.
Ashley, did you have a thought you want to share for us?
Kind of going off, Charles. You mentioned this earlier in like the very beginning. But find what you're passionate about and do those things, but know that you can't do it all and you don't have to do it all. Yeah. And so even going to college and finding clubs that you want to join, get involved, but don't get too involved. Remember that you need your quiet time. You need your space. You need to recollect,
Yeah.
And so do get involved and find those things, but just guard your personal time.
Yeah.
And guard your quiet time
Amen.
because it will run you down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were there any clubs you joined out of complete peer pressure that you weren't interested in at all?
Oh.
She doesn't want to say because people are like, "Oh, really?"
Really? You didn't want to join that club?
Tell me more.
No,
The tie-dye disco basket weaving club. You're telling me you weren't actually interested?
What
Actually,
a
that was
club.
great.
that was great.
No, it wasn't.
No, it's not that I didn't join any clubs that like I wasn't interested in or I was pressured to join. It's just like you go try all these different things and you try them out and then you like keep going to the clubs, keep going. But like there will be times where you have meetings every night of the week. Don't do that to yourself.
Yeah.
Like go home, watch a movie, enjoy your time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Cool. Find balance, right?
find balance for sure.
Amen.
Top notch.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, as we begin to
yeah.
close out, then any other just applicable, just applications or practical ideas that you guys might have on your thoughts that you want to share?
Yeah. Maybe, I guess just in line with this whole topic, find good books, man. Find good books
Yeah.
and read them, like self-development, maybe in areas that you're not strong in. I actually bought a book. It's like a math book, but it's like a reading, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it just is like how to get better with numbers or
Yeah.
something like that. So find books. If you don't have the time to read, buy the audiobook and listen to it while you're
Yeah.
driving somewhere. I
So-
found that to be really helpful.
I was just about to say, even if you can't find time to read or maybe you don't enjoy reading so much, try it. But there are also so many great podcasts out there that speak life into you
For sure.
in the car, driving down the road.
Listen to the pods.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll even follow up with that, so I had bookmarked a little bit of this part of a book talking about habits.
Got
So
it.
I'll actually read this, and this is from a book I'm rereading. It's called The Way of the Seal by
His
Mark
favorite
Divine.
book.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite, but it's definitely one of my favorites.
It's up there.
And so it's by Mark Divine, a former Navy SEAL commander. And so this part has a lot of gold. I think it's worth just reading and tagging on kind of as we begin to close here. This passage is called Making a Habit of Excellence. All right, so it writes, our habits are the little actions we perform every moment, every day, in between the big actions that occur less frequently. Though many of these aren't necessarily bad habits, they may not be excellence habits either. If you want to perform at the top 0.1% in your chosen arena, you must draw on your toolkit for remaining front sight focused and embracing the suck in order to make excellence a habit. And that was another part of the chapter, embrace the suck. When it comes to habits, the best approach isn't to focus on eliminating unwanted behaviors, but to replace them with new habits and drown out the old. This is true of replacing a nasty habit like smoking with a healthy habit like exercise, and it's just as true with replacing a character habit like laziness with a more useful one, such as embracing the suck. Our habits define us. Solid character habits define a solid character. I'd like you to start putting your mind to developing the character habits of discipline, drive, and determination. So those are what he calls the 3Ds. Discipline, drive, and determination. We can all grow through a disciplined approach to learning, training, and self-mastery, but we can grow even stronger by driving passionately and in a focused manner toward our targets, facing hard challenges, and never quitting when the going gets unfathomable. And perhaps above all, we grow the most through quiet determination and perseverance, expressed through a commitment to doing today what others won't. And so he goes on. There's a few other parts that I really like. He says, developing the discipline to train hard every day means you become a disciple, not to training itself, not just to looking good or stroking your ego, but to the higher purpose of developing yourself fully as a human being and as a leader. And to return to the start of this chapter, discipline begins with training the mind to reject discomfort and embrace the suck. He says that a lot.
Yeah. I like that.
So,
good.
to get practical, I think habits are really important when you begin to add habits of listening to podcasts, reading books. And you don't read a book by reading a book. You read a book by reading a page a day, or a couple pages a day, right?
Yeah.
Don't just chat. I've gone through 500-page books, and it's taken me an ungodly amount of time.
Yeah.
But you
Same.
do it from doing a page a day.
Yeah.
There you go.
And so that's really important. So I'll add that to the mix. Just habits, getting practical, listening, developing yourself, and don't be afraid to invest a little bit in your career if that's where you are. I know for me, like Dropbox. That's one thing I told you guys. And like I'm gonna keep talking about Dropbox
favorite
probably. I'm gonna keep talking about
Dropbox.
until people think that I'm working for Dropbox because I think it's great for $20 a day.
Not,
Dropbox
but
has
could
added
be.
a lot of value
$20 a
to my career.
month.
$20 a month. I would pay $20 a day.
Money
I think it
day.
adds that much value. And so Dropbox is
Don't know about
something.
that one.
Look into that. Just really cloud memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being able to access documents on the fly, because you spend and waste so much money looking for things that are lost than just trying to find solutions to things. Like looking for things that are lost is a big problem. So when you have access and it's on a cloud and maybe on a local computer as well, it's very important. And so Dropbox has helped me a lot. I highly recommend it. Listeners can figure out how they want to use that.
Got it.
And anything else? Anything else before we go? All right. Thanks and shout outs. Hey,
Woo!
want to thank Seacoast Church.
Yeah, thank you.
Brian and Doug and Chris Petrie, who just walked in for a brief hot minute.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we have one night, so we got to shut this down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to the custom students. Who else? Luke, who's about to help with sound check. Who else we got shout outs for? Is that about it? Hey, shout out to all veterans out there.
Yeah.
Amen.
Shout out to those.
Hey, shout out to
Yay.
my family friend Casey McCotter, who's in town. I don't know if I'll get to see him today. He might be a major now, but I don't know. He was captain in the Army, and our family hosted him when he was at the Citadel. He graduated in 2003.
Okay, that's cool.
Oh, that's sweet.
That's sweet.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah. Shout out to everyone out there. Solid.
Ooh.
All right, guys.
Right.
Well, hey,
See you next week.
y'all been awesome.
Peace out, guys.
See y'all next.
See
Big
you
stuff ahead.
soon.
Grace and peace.
Shabam.
Bye.